I'm Ember Knox. I'm 28. And my own family tried to sell a room full of Chicago's elite that I was just a line cook scraping by, right up until my face hit the massive screen as the CEO behind the nation's fastest-growing dining brand. She cooks for a living, Dad announced, his voice smooth, but edged with apology, waving a hand like he was brushing crumbs off the table. My brother Lane barked a laugh. That's it, chef? The room chuckled politely. I stayed quiet, fingers tight around my water glass. I knew what was coming. The giant projector behind the head table flickered to life. The Culinary News Network anchor smiled wide. Tonight, meet the woman who turned frozen meals into a $10 million empire. My photo filled the screen office, not kitchen. The laughter died instantly. Before I reveal the silence that swallowed the gala, drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. It's wild to see how far these stories reach. All right, let's rewind to the night. Everything changed. Please hit like, drop a comment so I know you're locked in for the full ride, and subscribe with notifications on this one's going all the way to the end. 5 years ago, in a quiet office on Northwestern's campus, the advisor stared at me over her glasses, papers spread across her desk like a map of the future I was about to burn. I had come to discuss internship offers from top firms McKinsey Bain, but instead, I slid the withdrawal form across the table. I'm dropping out, I said, voice steady despite the knot in my stomach. She blinked, then nodded slowly. You're sure this is a full ride? I signed the line, the pen scratching loud in the silence. At 23, I had run the race my family mapped out since high school: perfect grades, legacy, admission, the golden ticket to Wall Street. But the finish line felt like a trap. I wanted to build something real, not shuffle spreadsheets in a corner office. My idea, a food tech startup revolutionizing frozen meals with smart recipes that tasted like home-cooked. Dad would hate it, but I had to try. I stepped into the hallway, phone already in hand, dialing home before the ink dried. The drive back to Evanston would wait. Better rip the bandage off now. Dad answered on the second ring, his voice clipped from a conference call. Ember, make it quick. I leaned against the wall, cold tile biting through my sweater. Dad, I just met with my advisor. I'm leaving the program. Silence stretched, then his breath hissed out like steam from a kettle. Leaving for what? I gripped the phone tighter. To start a company. Food tech, optimizing recipes for mass production. It'll make frozen food actually good. He laughed short and sharp. Recipes you want to play with ovens instead of closing deals. We didn't pay for Columbia-level tuition so you could be a short-order cook. The words landed heavy. Dale Knox, founder of Knox Properties, saw success as high-rises and handshakes, not kitchens and code. I pushed on. It's not playing Dad. It's data-driven AI for flavor profiles, supply chain tweaks. I've got a prototype sketched out. He cut me off. Prototype. You're walking away from a six-figure offer, a network that took me decades to build. For what, a fantasy kitchen? His tone hardened. Fine, do it. But you're on your own. No more checks. That tuition. Consider it a loan. Pay it back with interest when your little hobby crashes. I swallowed. It won't crash. He snorted. We'll see. Don't call until you need bailing out. The line went dead. I stood there, phone warm against my ear, the hallway emptying as classes let out. Students rushed past, backpacks slung low, chatting about midterms. My backpack held a laptop and notes on ingredient algorithms, nothing else. I walked to the parking lot, autumn leaves crunching under my sneakers, and drove the hour to our family home in Lake Forest. The gate swung open. The house loomed, all stone and columns lit like a stage set. Inside, the air smelled of roasting lamb dinner prep. Mom found me first in the foyer, Donna Knox, her apron dusted with flour. Ember, you're early. Everything okay? Her smile faded when she saw my face. What happened? I told her, words tumbling out the withdrawal. The call, Dad's ultimatum. Her hand flew to her mouth, eyes welling. Oh, honey. Why, the program was perfect. What will the neighbors say? The club ladies, they all had such high hopes. She twisted her apron, tears spilling. Your father worked so hard to get you there. This looks like failure. I reached for her, but she pulled back. It's not failure, Mom. It's my path. She shook her head, voice breaking. Paths don't lead to embarrassment. Think of the family name. Footsteps echoed from the stairs. Lane descending tie loosened from his day at the firm. Lane Knox, 27, and already billing hours like a machine, paused at the bottom. What's the drama? Ember blow a test? Mom filled him in, voice quivering. Lane's grin spread slow, then wide. You quit MBA for real? He laughed, leaning against the banister. What, gonna flip burgers now? Dad must be thrilled. I shot him a look. It's a startup, Lane. Serious tech. He waved it off. Sure. Like that time you tried baking for the fair and burned the scones. You'll be back in a month, tail between your legs. Mom dabbed her eyes. Lane, don't. But Ember, he's right, this hurts us all. Dad appeared from his study sleeves, rolled up face like thunder. I heard. Pack your things. If you're chasing dreams, chase them elsewhere. Doors that way. The argument blurred into shouts. Dad pacing the living room, gesturing at framed photos of Knox deals. Mom sinking onto the sofa, sobbing into a tissue. Lane smirking from the armchair, tossing barbs like confetti. Golden child drops the ball, he said. Guess I'm the only one carrying the name now. I didn't yell back. Something inside clicked off the need for their nods, their pride. I climbed the stairs to my room, pulled a duffel from the closet, and stuffed it with clothes charger, that laptop. Downstairs, Dad's voice boomed, don't expect a safety net. I zipped the bag, grabbed my keys. $500 in savings, that's all I had. The front door clicked shut behind me. Porch light flickered on as I backed out the drive. Headlights cut the dark road ahead. No looking back. My first shift started at 10 p.m. in a frozen food plant on Chicago's South Side, the air thick with the smell of yeast and machine oil, conveyor belts rumbling like distant thunder. I clocked in with a badge that read, Temp. Line 3 slipped on steel-toe boots, 2 sizes too big, and joined the night crew, mostly immigrants trading jokes in Spanish and Polish to stay awake. 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, $12 an hour. Rent on a studio in Pilsen ate half of it. The rest went to ramen and bus fare. My laptop stayed in a locker, its screen cracked from the drive out of Lake Forest. I told myself this was research, get inside the system, learn every flaw, then fix it. The floor manager, Carlo Rossi, barked orders from a catwalk above, clipboard in hand, mustache twitching with every missed pallet. He was built like a linebacker, gone soft voice, carrying over the hiss of steam tables. Knocks faster on the seal check, those trays don't pack themselves. I nodded, gloved hands flying over plastic lids, eyes scanning for leaks. The line moved at 90 units a minute. One jam, and the whole shift paid for it. Carlo paced, radio crackling with updates from quality control. I watched him mark clipboards, noting how he predicted slowdowns by the pitch of the motors. He knew the plant better than the engineers upstairs. Week 3, a batch of lasagna trays came back from QC, sauce separation texture off, 40% waste. Carlo stormed down the line, face red. Who loaded tray? 12 sauce is pooling like soup, fingers pointed. No one spoke up. I raised a hand. I did. Let me see the spec sheet. He shoved it at me, eyes narrowed. The recipe called for a 2-minute cook at 375, but the blast freezer hit -20 too fast. Ice crystals ruptured the starch. I traced the numbers on a napkin, grease smearing the ink. If we drop the cook to 90 seconds and add a slow thaw cycle, separation drops to 5%. Carlo stared, then grunted. Show me. We rerouted a test batch after midnight, the plant quiet except for our corner. I adjusted timers on the oven belt, watched trays emerge glossy and intact. Carlo tasted one fork, scraping plastic. Not bad, kid. Run it tomorrow. The next shift waist fell to 4%. He slapped my back hard enough to stagger me. You got eyes. Keep them open. I started carrying a notebook sketching flowcharts between seals, ingredient ratios, dwell times, humidity spikes. Carlo caught me once, peered over my shoulder. What's this? I showed him the yield curve. Proof we can cut salt by 8% without losing flavor saves $3,000 a week. He whistled low. Corporate won't like change. I shrugged. Corporate isn't here at 2 a.m. Months blurred. I learned every station mixing vats that steamed like cauldrons, packers that spat trays like bullets, freezers cold enough to numb fingertips in seconds. Carlo assigned me to troubleshooting a promotion without a raise. One dawn, as the sun bled orange over the rail yards, a conveyor seized, motor burned out, line down. Workers milled, waiting for maintenance. I traced the belt to a misaligned sensor, recalibrated it with a paperclip and duct tape. The line hummed back to life in 6 minutes. Carlo watched from the control room, arms crossed. Where'd you learn that I wiped grease on my jeans? Trial and error. He nodded slow. Error's expensive. You just saved us 2 hours? I began prototyping on break napkins, became blueprints. Ketchup packets stood in for ingredients. One night, I mixed leftover marinara with a dash of smoked paprika and a pinch of agar, testing bind strength. Carlo wandered over, curious. Smells like Sunday dinner. I handed him a sample on a cracked plate. He chewed, eyes widening. This from reject sauce, I nodded. Same base, better structure. Shelf stable for 90 days. He finished it, then another. Run a full tray tomorrow. My authority. We did 50 units labeled Test Batch K1. QC passed with flying colors. Carlo signed the log himself. You're wasted on this line, Knox. By spring, I had a binder thick with data, cost savings, flavor scores, production tweaks. Carlo became my shadow ally, slipping me overtime logs and supplier contacts. You building something? He asked, one shift voice low over the roar. I closed the binder. Yeah, a way out and up. He grinned, first real one I'd seen. Count me in when you do. Trust earned in grease and midnight fixes. The plant wasn't home, but it was the forge. Christmas Eve, inside the heated tent of the family estate in Lake Forest, fairy lights twinkled against snow-dusted evergreens, while a crackling fire pit warmed the air. The table sat Dad at the head in a red cashmere sweater, Mom beside him in emerald velvet lane, across from me, tie loosened after too much eggnog. No caterers, no guests, just us, the way Mom insisted, for real family time. Platters of prime rib and roasted potatoes steamed between us, silver clinking softly. I had flown in from the city that afternoon, duffel still in the foyer, laptop humming with launch metrics I hadn't checked since landing. Dad carved the roast knife, flashing. Pass the gravy, Ember. I did. Lane smirked, swirling his glass. Still slinging hash at that hole in the wall, Mom shot him a look. Lane, it's Christmas. He shrugged. Just asking. She's been opening a restaurant for a year. I set my fork down. It's open. Wicker Park. First month cleared $20,000. Dad grunted, not looking up. $20,000? That's a slow Tuesday for me. Lane laughed. Congrats, sis. You're a small business owner now. Mom passed the Yorkshire pudding. Let's not fight. Ember's trying. Dad wiped his mouth. Trying is for kids. She quit a top MBA for what, frozen dinners. I kept my voice even. Premium frozen meals. AI-optimized recipes. We're scaling. Lane snorted. Scaling, you mean microwaving in bulk. He raised his glass. To Ember, may her oven never burn out. Mom forced a smile. Drink your water, Lane. Dessert arrived, Mom's famous pecan pie still warm. Dad leaned back. Speaking of scaling, Lane made partner last week. Youngest in firm history. He beamed. Lane preened. Thanks, Dad. Closed a merger that'll fund my condo down payment. Mom clapped. We're so proud. Dad raised his glass again. to Lane carrying the Knox name forward. They clinked. I sat silent. Mom turned to me. Your turn, honey. Tell us about the restaurant. I started. Bookings full through March. Investors circling. Dad waved a hand. Investors. For a kitchen lane cut in. She means the lunch crowd. Mom touched my arm. Ignore them. But? Are you sure this is stable people talk? I pulled away. Let them talk. Dad frowned. Talk reflects on all of us. You represent the family. Lane grinned. Yeah, represent us with a hairnet. Mom sighed. Enough. It's Christmas. The fire popped. I stared at the flames. No more explaining. They wanted a daughter who fit their mold. I'd stopped trying. A text from Mom lit up my phone 3 weeks before the gala while I reviewed inventory dashboards in the Fulton Market office, fluorescent lights humming overhead. Need you at the Children's Hospital fundraiser. Drake Hotel. Black tie. Family table. Non-negotiable. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. The last time we shared a room, Lane had toasted his partnership, and Dad had called my revenue pocket change. I typed back busy with launch. 3 dots appeared, vanished, reappeared. Please. Board members asking. Just show up, smile leave. For appearances. Another message followed. Your father insists. I set the phone down, rubbed my temples. The company Ember Oak now ran 12 location supply chains synced via custom software. Saying no meant another round of lectures about duty. I called her instead. She answered on the first ring, voice bright but strained. Ember, thank goodness. It's only 3 hours. Wear something appropriate, no jeans this time. I leaned back in my chair, city lights flickering through blinds. Mom, I have a board meeting that morning. She sighed. Bored. You're still playing entrepreneur. This event raises millions. One night won't kill your little project. The word little stung, but I kept my tone even. It's not a project. We're scaling nationwide. She cut in. Scaling can wait. The country club president will be there. They remember when you quit school. Silence stretched. I pictured her in the estate kitchen planner, open pearls clicking as she paced. Fine, I said. I'll come. But I'm bringing my own +1. She hesitated. Who? I smiled. The network. Hanging up, I opened a new email thread to the Culinary News Network producer. Confirmed for pre-gala segment. Live feed to Drake Ballroom. 10-minute slot. Reply came fast, locked. Script approved. I forwarded details to legal, then dialed Pia Shah, my CTO, who picked up mid-code review. Talk to me, she said, keyboard clacking in the background. I outlined the planned satellite uplink from our server farm real-time metrics overlay during the interview. We go live at 8:15 sharp. Can you handle remote? Pia laughed. Already stress-tested. Uplink stable at 99.9. Just don't let your dad unplug the router. I grinned. He won't get the chance. Over the next days, Mom sent dress options links to Neiman Marcus notes on heel height. I ignored them, chose a simple black sheath from my closet. Pia ran diagnostics nightly, green lights across the board. One evening, Mom called again. No speeches, right? Just sit, eat, clap. I assured her. No speeches. She exhaled relief. Good. Lane's bringing his fiancée, keep things civil. I ended the call, turned to the monitor where Pia shared her screen. Phase 2. Rollout starts tomorrow. 50 new units. Predictive ordering live. Numbers scrolled. Projected savings of $42,000 monthly. I nodded. Perfect timing. The morning of the gala. Pia texted final confirmation, feed encrypted backup stream ready. You're golden. I replied with a thumbs up, slipped the phone into my clutch. Mom's driver would arrive at 7. One night to endure, then the truth would speak louder than any toast. The night of the gala, crystal glasses clinked under golden chandeliers at the Drake, with the ballroom humming with Chicago's elite in tuxedos and gowns that cost more than cars. As I stepped inside at 7:45 with black sheath dress, simple against the sparkle and hair in a low knot, so Mom spotted me near the entrance rushing over in emerald silk and said, "You made it sit between Lane and Mr. Lang, keep conversation light," while air kissing my cheek with perfume sharp, and Dad waved from the head table already deep in talk with a developer, as Lane stood beside him with fiancé on his arm, both laughing at something on a phone screen. I took my seat as waiters poured champagne with the table holding 10 Dad, Mom, Lane, his fiancée Claire, the Langs, 2 board members, and me, as Dad introduced everyone with flair, saying, "Victor Lang, meet my daughter Ember. She runs a small eatery downtown." So Victor extended a hand with polite smile and asked, "Nice, what cuisine?" But before I answered, Lane jumped in with comfort food, mostly think upscale TV dinners. And Claire giggled while Victor nodded slowly, saying, "Interesting niche." As Dad chuckled and added, "We're guiding her toward real estate eventually." With the table murmuring agreement, and Mom touching my wrist to say, "Smile, dear." Appetizers arrived as seared scallops on pea puree, with Lane dominating and saying, "Closed a 40-unit condo deal last month. Zoning was a nightmare, but we pushed through." So applause came from the Langs, and Dad beamed, replying, "That's Knox blood," while I sipped water, and Mr. Lang turned to me, asking, "How many locations do you have?" But I opened my mouth only for Dad to cut in with 1 or 2 experimental phase. And Lane smirked, adding, "Yeah, still figuring out the microwave settings." As more laughter followed and Mom whispered, "Don't correct them, not here." Salad course came as arugula with candied walnuts, and a board member asked about my day job, but Lane answered for me with, "She's in operations, oversees packing lines." So Claire added, "So, hands-on." And the table cooed approval at her charm, while Dad raised his glass to toast, to Lane and Claire, future power couple, with cheers all around as I checked my watch under the tablecloth at 8:05, and my phone vibrated once, so I slipped it out with screen glowing "Pia, uplink live metrics streaming ready when you are," and typed "Hold for Q." Main course arrived as filet mignon with truffle reduction, while conversation shifted to market trends, with Dad boasting about a new tower, saying, "Breaking ground in Spring Lane's handling permits." So Victor leaned toward me and asked, "Ever think of franchising your concept?" But Lane snorted with franchise frozen lasagna bold, and Claire covered her mouth with eyes dancing as Mom shot me a pleading look and said, "Ember, pass the salt." So I did silently, while my outfit drew side eyes with simple fabric against sequins, and Mrs. Lang whispered to Claire, "Minimalist chic." As Claire replied, "Budget chic maybe." Dessert menus circulated with Dad patting my hand and saying, "See, easy night, no drama." So I nodded as phone buzzed again. "Pia, feed stable, 8, 12, go time in 3," and I locked the screen, set it face down while Lane noticed and said, "Texting the kitchen staff, soup special running late." With the table chuckling and Mom hissing, "Put it away," as Dad added, "Professional event Ember." So I complied with pulse steady, and the MC took the stage thanking sponsors while a massive screen descended behind him at 8:14 any second. The projector screen descended from the ceiling the instant the dessert plates were cleared, the Culinary News Network logo flaring white against a deep navy backdrop, while the anchor appeared in a razor-sharp suit with a voice as steady as steel. Tonight we honor the innovators reshaping how America eats. Meet Ember Knox, CEO of Ember Oak, a company now valued at $10 million after just 3 short years. My headshot taken in the Fulton Market boardroom, not a kitchen, filled the frame, and gasps rippled through the ballroom as Dad's fork froze midair, Lane's champagne sloshed over the rim, and Mom's fingers clenched her pearl necklace like a lifeline. The anchor continued without pause. From a single storefront in Wicker Park to a national frozen premium brand, Knox's AI-driven supply chain has upended an entire industry as revenue curves and market share graphs scrolled across the screen, prompting Victor Lang to drop his jaw and whisper, 10 million. I rose calm as still water. Exactly. The room spun toward me in a single motion, Dad recovering first with a growl. Ember, sit down. This is a mistake. But I ignored him, phone already in hand with Pia's final text glowing all clear. I faced the table and said, no mistake, and there's more, then tapped the screen. So a second slide appeared, legal documents, timestamps, ironclad proof. Fabio Greco, early investor, sold 10% of my equity to a competitor last quarter, without consent. Fabio Greco, seated 3 tables away, went ashen, while the anchor narrated live Greco's move triggered a breach clause. Knox now exercises full control, so I locked eyes with him and declared, Fabio, you're fired, effective immediately. Security will escort you out. 2 guards materialized as if conjured. Fabio stammered, this is defamation, but I shook my head and replied, it's a contract, you signed it. And he was led away with his tie askew, while guests parted like the Red Sea. Dad shot to his feet. Ember, enough. Apologize, so I turned and asked, for what? For building something you mocked. Lane tried next, you're embarrassing us, but I met his glare and answered, I'm done performing for your approval, while Mom reached for me with honey. Think of the family, and I stepped back, saying, family doesn't sell each other out, I'm done. I walked to the podium, took the mic from the stunned MC, and told the room and the nation watching live, thank you, CNN, and to anyone tuning in, success isn't measured by who claps for you. It's built in silence by people who believe when no one else does. I left the stage, Dad chasing me into the lobby with his voice booming. You'll regret this. But I kept walking and replied, I already did every time I tried to earn your respect. While Lane caught up outside with his coat flapping in the wind. You think 10 million makes you untouchable. So I faced him and said, it makes me free, and Mom appeared with mascara streaking her cheeks. We can fix this. Come home, but I shook my head. Home was a stage. I'm done acting. I slid into the waiting car. The door shut with a soft thud. The engine purred to life, and there were no calls, no texts, no reconciliation, just a clean final break. 3 months later, the gala clip exploded across every platform. The Knox family name shattered overnight. Victor Lang canceled the tower deal, citing public family drama. He no longer wished to be associated with costing Knox Properties, its largest contract of the year, and sending the stock down 8% in a single week. Lane was demoted to senior associate after partners flagged the viral footage as reputational risk straight from his own mouth, while Fabio Greco lost the arbitration. Every document, every email, every timestamp proved his betrayal and filed for personal bankruptcy with all assets frozen. Meanwhile, Ember Oak surged to a $15 million valuation and closed Series C without breaking stride. I never spoke to them again. No holidays, no updates, no explanations. Success doesn't need their applause. To everyone who stayed until the very end, thank you. If this story hit home, drop your thoughts below. Ever had to walk away to win? Share it. I read every single comment.